Wow, the gold prices have reached an all-time high. It is now more than 5,500 US dollars per ounce. This is incredibly high, and a lot of money are going into metal-related commodities. What's going on? Folks, we are now living in a turbulent times. That's why investors are moving money out of the US dollars, weakening the US dollar, and moving that money into buying metal commodities, especially gold. Okay? So the thing is, whenever there is high-risk environment, you normally will move money to the safer assets. And yesterday, the US Fed mentioned that they will maintain and pause the decrement of interest rates. They will maintain interest rates at the current state, which I think will not be very good news for many investors. And also, President Donald Trump is looking at lowering the interest rates, and this will make the Fed and the Trump in a conflicting position. Now, besides all these issues, President Donald Trump is still hyping up his geopolitical threats to various countries, especially Iran. And there is a fear of an incoming war. He has just threatened Iran again. And he's asking Iran to make a deal with the US. Otherwise, a war might erupt again in the Middle East. And with war times coming, investors fear for their money. Investors will move money to gold. And that's why you have the gold reaching the all-time high. You have, at the same time, a much weakened US dollar. And with a much weakened US dollar, our ringgit has appreciated to an unprecedented high in recent years. The other interesting thing that caught my attention is that the British Prime Minister is rushing to meet President Xi in China. There is a big change in the global world order, and countries are rethinking about making new alliances, making realignments to their trade partners. And this spells a heightened geopolitical tensions. Later today, investors will also be looking at very important economic data coming out from the US, particularly the US inflation rate. Yesterday, Fed mentioned that they are expecting the inflation to be higher than 2%, which is way still above the central bank's targets. And you know, inflation is not good news for Donald Trump. And at the same time, you know very sure that the US inflation is a self-inflicted inflation, driven mainly by Trump's tariffs, which has actually increased the cost of products to US consumers. And also, his threats on Iran has also increased the fuel prices again. The crude and the Brent oil prices have gone up again, and that also means that gasoline prices will be going up again in the US, and that itself will push up the inflation. So, at one part, you want interest rates to come down. At the same time, inflation is still very high. It makes no sense for interest rates to come down. All this affects the confidence of the investors. The geopolitical tensions are not going to ease anytime soon. And at the same time, Trump is facing a whole lot of domestic political issues. He has an incoming government shutdown that might happen in a few days' time, especially when the political parties, Democrats and the Republicans, could not agree on certain spending bills. One of it is related to the ICE issue. So all these political deadlocks are, again, hampering investors' confidence with the Trump's administration.